I feel like such a moron here, I don't even know how to really begin. I'm a smart woman, swore up and down I would never get myself in such a situation and would never put another woman through this. But here I am. For some background, I am 23 in my first year of grad school and doing a paid internship in my field. In February a sub-con, Richard, came in and literally charmed the pants off me, I mean literally. He's 15 years older and basically hit all my buttons. Within a week of meeting him he took me on a trip to Hawaii. It was a business trip for him. He bought me an insane amount of gifts and I was between living situations. He set me up in a nice hotel for a month, hotel with all expenses paid, also had to do with his business and I was on cloud 9. He paid for the damage deposit and first month's rent on my new apartment. What was really happening is I was a moron and blinded to the glaring freaking red flags that he gave me. He would disappear without contact for days and up to a week at a time. The only number he gave me was a Google Voice number. He could only sleep over on Tuesdays and I never saw where he lived, and he lied about not having social media. I never even thought to check. Maybe 2 weeks ago a friend and I went to the movies. I saw Richard and what turned out to be his gorgeous wife and even more gorgeous 2 kids. I was stunned and wanted to faint. He absolutely saw me, but I apparently am so easily manipulated by him. He essentially told me with his eyes, be cool and don't make a scene, and I didn't. I left and have been crying my eyes out essentially non-stop for the last 2 weeks, for me and for his family. I never wanted to be this person, but here I am. I finally looked him up on Facebook and sure enough, that was his family. He posted happy pictures at his kids' swim meets and on dates with his wife while I was in the hotel room he was paying for. The level of deception is insane. I know I have to tell his wife, but would I be a raging idiot if, as opposed to just saying I'm so sorry, I had an affair with your husband? I basically laid out a list of everything he did for me. The trips, the gifts, the hotels and on and on. Or is that too much and I need to allow her the space to process the information and extent of his affair in her own time? Not the idiot, but you don't need to go into all the gory details. The wife needs to know that he took you on trips because he clearly told her some sort of lie to cover his absence. Tell her the logistics of it. He took you on this trip, he was with you overnight on these dates, so that she understands how he managed to snow her. If she needs more info, in some places you can recoup marital funds spent on an affair partner in the divorce settlement, give it when asked. But be prepared for her to not believe you and for him to get really nasty. Not the idiot, I doubt you were the first and would not be the last affair this guy has. However, you don't need to go into all the details at first, just tell her you can provide details if she wants them. Another thing, be prepared for the scenario that his wife is going to just nonchalantly say something like oh another one and brush it off. Many wives are well aware of their husbands sleeping around and deal with it for the sake of maintaining their lifestyle and their children's. It's also possible they have an agreed upon open relationship. Not the idiot. You are under no obligation to hide any details from her. My suggestion would be to message her, tell her you had a very extensive affair, including financial support, and ask if she wants or needs proof. If she does, give it to her. If she doesn't, tell her you can if she needs it later. After these initial contacts, I'd suggest you ask her only to contact you through a lawyer if it comes down to divorce. Completely cut contact with the man. The only idiot here is the husband. He deserves nothing, especially to sugarcoat his misdeeds. Earlier this week, I went to the library to finish some papers I'm working on. It was very crowded and most seats were taken because the last year's students had to finish their master's thesis in a few days. I arrived a few minutes after the library opened and most seats were occupied, so I just chose the very first seat I saw. The library seats are massive big tables with 6 to 8 seats with plenty enough room for students to work. There are individual lights, sockets, just everything you need to work on your own. As I was setting up my desk, I noticed the girl who was already sitting on the opposite side of the desk. I recognized her, since she was in one of my classes. I smiled, she smiled back, all good. When I'm done unpacking, she takes off her headphones and says hey, would you mind moving to a different seat? It's just that your face kinda is distracting me. Now, I have burn scars on the left side of my face. It's not Freddy Krueger like bad, but more like a 24-year-old Sander Clegane on a good day. I am used to people staring and looking weirdly at me and mocking me, so like the idiot I am, I told her I was sorry my face was a distraction to her, but that I couldn't move seats since there are hardly any other seats available. She replied, but it's really drawing my attention and I kinda got here first. Hey, don't worry, I'll help you look for another seat. I don't know why, but the "I'll help you look for another seat" triggered me. I know my face, which is, by the way, not really as bad as Sander Clegane, looks a bit off, but actually, wanting me to move to a different seat. Like, I'm still human, not some kind of flea-covered dog. So I snapped back that I'm staying on this seat. Meanwhile, other students are noticing our little discussion and that she couldn't be that distracted, seeing she was listening to music already and had a big laptop in front of her. She raised her voice, I guess in an attempt to rally people behind her, and pulled the "everybody thinks you are a freak, why are you even here" card, a classic. I told her that, if she wanted to help me look for another seat, she could just help herself and move away, and I sit down at my desk. She calms down after a while and continues working. She stayed in the library for another 6 hours, I stayed there for like 8, maybe. She threw some ugly glances at me sometimes and sighed whenever I quietly got up to get a book from one of the shelves. During one of these trips, a guy passed me by at one of the bookcases and told me, why couldn't you just move, you distracted all of us here. Which made me think, was I the idiot for not giving in and moving away? I felt like I didn't really raise my voice, but I did notice people were looking at us and couldn't really focus on the things they were doing. Not the idiot, dude. I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. The girl sounds like an idiot, and the dude who came up to you later sounds like a white knight trying to win her favor. Based on what you said, I'm sure you're not so distracting you can't sit in a library where anyone is welcome to sit. If she was actually so distracted she could have moved, but to me, it sounded like she just wanted something to whine about. Hope it didn't ruin your day or anything, homie, much love. Not the idiot. And I hope you know that and don't feel too self-conscious about your face. My face is paralyzed on the left side. When it first happened, I was very self-conscious and didn't like being seen or speaking in public. Kids would look at me weird. You gotta get past that. It's the new you and it's not something you can control or something you chose for yourself. As long as you are not showing yourself in front of people in a belligerent way, while saying look at me, there is 100% nothing wrong. Be yourself. Exist. Be happy. Not the idiot. You cannot change what has happened to you and are well within your right to be there as much as them. The fact you have to deal with this kind of crap is just another example of how emotionally vacant and empathetically void a lot of crap-stained humans can be, and quite honestly, they aren't worth the toilet paper. You be you, screw them and have some bloody chicken. The Hound is one of my faves anyway. If we ever met, I'd buy you a drink. We want to live together, but I don't want his 19-year-old staying with us. I obviously don't mind the 15-year-old staying, but I expect her to be out by 18 so we can have our life together. I really do love his daughters, but when they become adults, oldest daughter already is, I don't want to live with them. He isn't responsible for them and neither am I. I can tolerate his mother staying with us, she speaks very little English, so we never fight. He was listening to me and super respectful. I told him he deserves a break too after so many years. He said that parenting isn't an 18-year sentence for him. That they are more than daughters, father, and grandmother. That they are a family unit. That's how things are in his culture. In his culture, family doesn't stop being family at 18. I brought up that 19-year-old is not even paying any bills or rent right now. He says she doesn't have to, but she does her part by cleaning the whole house, including bedrooms, and taking care of his mother. That there is more than one way to contribute to a household. She's far from a leech. I said that, if he wants a live-in caretaker, we'll get one. He was beyond insulted that I compared and reduced his daughter to help. He wants us to live together, but I refuse to do so. She's an adult and she can move out. I'm not saying to throw her out now, but maybe give her a few months' notice at least. I want her out before her junior year starts for sure. Otherwise, I can't stay with him. He says that he just needs some time to think about it. He told me that financially it doesn't even make sense. Housing is so expensive and everyone saves money this way. She doesn't need to cripple herself with debt when she has a welcoming home. He still felt like I'm disrespecting his culture, but he's willing to give it some thought. Before I left, I went to go speak to the adult daughter. I casually asked when she plans on moving out, and she said maybe after her undergraduate degree, but probably after law school. There is a great one in the city. But when she becomes a lawyer, she hopes to get a house big enough for me and her father to have our own large spaces. She'll be saving up and working hard. I asked why. She said that she'd want us to stay with her and for her to take care of us in old age. Her exact words were, "Screw a retirement home, I got you guys." It sounds bad, but I didn't want to hear that. My life plans do not include her and they don't have to. I love him and I want us to be together. But this isn't a full house. If the adults stay, I can't. Am I being unreasonable here? I love him so much and I'm ready for us to have our own life. You're the idiot. You're not just marrying him, you're joining his family, especially if that's the kind of culture he comes from. If you didn't already understand that, you don't know him. If you can't embrace it, you're in for a bad time. I don't know what his culture is, but there are many cultures that would be pretty horrified by the idea that now that you're getting married, it's all about you two and your life. Do not forget that this daughter is actually helping around the house etc. and not being lazy. But she also has goals. You're the idiot. You're expecting your future husband to kick his children out just because they're a certain age. Yeah, sure 18 isn't adult, but that doesn't mean once you hit that age you're ready and equipped with the skills to be on your own. You'd rather pay for a live-in housekeeper than be okay with his adult daughter living with y'all. Wow. This is a man who doesn't want his daughter to struggle through her higher education career, and though you say she isn't elite you sure are speaking like she is. You're the idiot. You're basically making him choose between you and his family. I guarantee he will pick family every time. Think about it, does an 18 or 19 kid really need to move out right then? Furthermore, where would they move to? It's difficult turning 18 then moving straight out of the family's home. Trying to find a job that can pay enough for a place, food, gas, and whatever bills is difficult at that age. Practically no life experience. You sound like you do not have kids. 23 and more years old with no motivations or working towards a goal is a kick-out spot. But 18 or 19? No way. This happened a couple of years ago, but it was brought to my attention that the woman is still mad. My mom married a guy I hate when I was 17. His family lived in Indiana and it is about 9 hours of driving to get there. My mom and stepdad insisted we go down there for a visit during the summer I turned 20. I am now 25. I agreed to go simply because I hadn't seen my new uncles in a year. Well, one evening my mom and I were sitting outside talking about shaving our legs, not sure how we ended up there, honestly. We both agreed that we usually just do a light shave instead of shaving everything, upper legs, bikini area, unless we are going to make love with somebody. We were laughing about it and my step-grandma came outside to smoke. Some info on this grandma. She was already mad at me for not calling her Grandma Karen, no joke, that's her name. I didn't call her that because I was 17 when she became part of my family. I already had a grandma. She was mad enough to make it clear I wasn't welcome to stay at her house with my mom and siblings. Instead, I spent the week at a nearby motel. So anyways she hears my mom and me laughing and asks what we're laughing about. My mom tells her we were talking about how lazy we are and don't shave all the time. Karen immediately gets annoyed at not my mom, who is married to her son, but at me. She rounds on me, saying don't you have a boyfriend? At the time I'd been with a guy for 3 years and lived with him. So I told her yeah. She then asks me why I'm not shaving daily for him. I ask her why do I need to? She says I should be trying to look nice to him. I tell her that my boyfriend doesn't care if my legs have hair on them, he's aware that women grow hair there. She looks ridiculously disgusted by me. She's giving me a nasty look and then says, do you at least make him dinner every night? At this point, I'm nearly laughing. It was 2013, and are you kidding me? Why would I make him dinner nightly? So I tell her no way. Sometimes I make dinner for both of us, but no way in hell do I make him food every night. She asks me why not, and I tell her, because he is perfectly capable of making himself some food. She says, wow, I'm surprised he hasn't left you yet. To which I responded, get off, Karen. I ended up catching a plane home the next day because I didn't want to be around her. I haven't seen her since. Recently my mom told me that Karen is still mad I never apologized to her. I don't feel I owe her an apology. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. When people don't know their place and get in other people's business, they get what they deserve. I've been told to get off because I wandered my nose into stuff that had nothing to do with me, and this old bat who's 2 or 3 times my age can handle it like a grown adult too. Also, don't give apologies if you don't mean them, it's just a general principle to abide by, in my opinion. And I know the rules of this sub say you should be willing to accept judgment open-mindedly, but you don't sound apologetic at all. And you shouldn't be. Not the idiot. I told my older brother to get off and stop talking to him for a while, he owed me $4,000. My mum was on me saying I need to make up with him. I tried to be the bigger man and invited him to play golf or something like that, and he just didn't bother replying. Mum stopped having a go at me when he stopped replying to her messages as well, so I 100% believe you right either. Sometimes it's worth telling someone to get off. There clearly was no end to this woman's rudeness, so there was only one way to respond to get the message across. Today I was doing some minor maintenance on my car. It leaks oil really badly, so I was under the hood checking the fluids and all of that. I had my earbuds listening to Spotify when I look up and am very startled to see 2 teenage girls, not only in my yard, but very uncomfortably close to me. I have an exaggerated startle response due to trauma, and being caught off guard like that immediately caused me distress, but I tried very hard to remain calm. I removed my earbuds and asked them what I could do for them. They were kind of chattering amongst themselves and ignoring me. Basically, they wanted a ride and were rudely debating if my car could even run all right there in front of me. It was really annoying. Have you ever had someone blatantly talking crap about you like you literally aren't standing right there hearing every word and then have the absolute audacity to ask for your help? Yeah. So anyway, I told them to kick rocks. I didn't even know who these 2 were, and this is not the kind of neighborhood to just wantonly wander onto someone else's property without invitation. Well, they weren't trying to hear all of that and started talking even more crap. Insulting my car, which fine, whatever, it is a piece of crap, but they crossed the line by making some insinuations about me as a person, basically implying that I was a tomboy for working on my own car and I needed a man to do that. Basically, they were really trying me, but I didn't want to get into it with 2 literal children. As an adult, that's a seriously bad look, so I just kept telling them to get to stepping, but they would not. It really seemed to me that they were trying to intimidate me by acting hard and bowing up at me. It was really embarrassing, so finally, I just had enough and hosed them down. This is Florida, so it was like 75 out. Anyway, that did the trick and they left immediately. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. If they didn't want to be hosed down, they should have stayed on the sidewalk and insulted you from there like real men. In all seriousness, when they stepped onto your property and you made it clear they weren't wanted there, they were trespassing. Hell, they were asking for a ride and then saying your car couldn't make it. Good on you for spraying them with water. Pretending it was an accident. It's water, totally harmless, but really puts a dent in their ego. Good on you. It'll show them not to do that kind of stuff anymore. You have very low self-esteem. Start improving that self-esteem by realizing that most women can't work on their own vehicles. That is great. I wouldn't have sprayed them. That is assault these days and they could have called the police and had you arrested. I would have said, okay, I will take you where you want to go, but I need to put these tools away and get my keys and my cell phone and my purse. Go into the house and call 911 and tell them that 2 females want to leave your property and are trying to intimidate you into taking them somewhere and you need help right away. Everyone's the idiot here. The girls were of course idiots, and I cannot understand why on earth they would ask a stranger to take them into their car. And your best response is to hose them down? Other things you could have done. Go into your house and ignore them. Ignore them, but remain there if you can cope with them being around until they're bored. Tell them they are not welcome on your property and you will call the authorities. Call the authorities. I am just trying to think what I would have done in your shoes, and hosing them down would have been scraping the barrel of my resource list.